Hare Krishna, everybody. Would like to welcome you to today's Srimad Bhagavatam reading. We are reading from fourth canto, fourth chapter, verse number 21. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ma va padavya pitra asmad astita यज्ञशालाशु न धूमावर्तमाभिः तदन्नतृप्तेरसुभिर्ईदिता अव्यक्तलिङ्ग अवधूतसेविताः. Synonyms: Ma, are not; Vah, yours; Padavyah, opulences; Pitah, O father; Asmad, Astitah, possessed by us; Yah, which opulences; Yajna Shalashu, in the sacrificial fire; Na, not; Dhuma Vartamabhi, by the path of sacrifices; Tatanna Traptehi, satisfied by the footstep of the sacrifice; Asu Britbihi, satisfying bodily features; Iditaha, praised; Avyakta Lingaha, whose cause is unmanifested; Avadhuta Sevitaha, achieved by the self-realized souls. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear Father, the opulence we possess is impossible for either you or your flatterers to imagine. For persons who engage in fruitive activities by performing great sacrifices are concerned with satisfying their bodily necessities by eating foodstuff offered as a sacrifice. We can exhibit our opulences simply by desiring to do so. This can be achieved only by great personalities who are renounced self realized souls. Perfect. Sati's father was under the impression that he was exalted in both prestige and opulence, and that he had offered his daughter to a person who was not only poor but devoid of all culture. Her father might have been thinking that although she was a chaste woman, greatly adherent to her husband was in a deplorable condition. To counteract such thoughts, Sati said that the opulence possessed by her husband could not be understood by materialistic persons like Daksha and his followers, who were flatterers and were engaged in fruitive activities. Her husband's position was different. He possessed all opulences, but he did not like to exhibit them. Therefore, such opulences are called avyakta or unmanifested. But if required simply by willing, Lord Shiva can show his wonderful opulences, and such an event is predicted here, for it would soon occur. The opulence Lord Shiva possesses is enjoyable in renunciation and love of God, not in material exhibition of sense gratificatory methods. Such opulences are possessed by personalities like the Kumaras, Narada, and Lord Shiva, not by others. In this verse, the performers of the Vedic rituals are condemned. They have been described here as Dhuma Vartamapihi, those who maintain themselves of the remnants of sacrificial foodstuff. There are two kinds of foodstuff offered in sacrifice. One kind is food offered in fruitive ritualistic sacrifices, and the other, the best, is food offered to Vishnu. Although in all cases Vishnu is the chief deity on the sacrificial altar, the performers of fruitive ritualistic aims, the performers of fruitive rituals aim to satisfy various demigods to achieve in return some material propensity. Real sacrifice, however, is to satisfy Lord Vishnu, and the remnants of such sacrifice are beneficial for advancement in devotional service. The process of elevation by performing sacrifices other than those aimed at Vishnu is very slow, and therefore it has been condemned in this verse. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has described the ritualistic performance to be like crows because crows delight in eating the remnants of food which has been thrown into the dustbin. All the brahmanas who were present for the sacrifice were also condemned by Sati. Whether or not King Daksha and his flatterers could understand the position of Lord Shiva, Sati wanted to impress upon her father that he should not think her husband to be without opulence. Sati, being the devoted wife of Lord Shiva, offers all kinds of material opulences to the worshippers of Lord Shiva. This fact is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto. Lord Shiva's, Lord Shiva's worshippers sometimes appear more opulent than the worshippers of Lord Vishnu because Durga or Sati, being the superintendent in charge of material affairs, can offer all material opulences to the worshippers of Lord Shiva in order to glorify her husband. Whereas the worshippers of Lord Vishnu are meant for spiritual elevation, and therefore their material opulence is sometimes found to decrease. These points are very nicely discussed in the 10th canto. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुदापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्या देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So again, once again, I would like to welcome all of you to today's discussion on the fourth canto, fourth chapter, verse number 21. Again, a very beautiful and a long purport here by Srila Prabhupada. I'll read the translation once again, and then we will jump into the discussions. My dear father, the opulence we possess is impossible for either you or your flatterers to imagine. For persons who engage in fruitive activities by performing great sacrifices are concerned with satisfying their bodily necessities by eating foodstuff offered as a sacrifice. We can exhibit our opulences simply by deciding to do so. This can be achieved only by great personalities who are renounced, self realized souls. So, just a quick 10-second, 15-second overview of where we are. We have now Sati, who um, has decided, and again, a lot of even after Lord Shiva had dissuaded Sati to come to this sacrificial gathering, Sati somehow insisted, and Lord Shiva and his followers made arrangements for Mother Sati to now be here. And when she arrives at the sacrificial arena, um, she feels neglected. she feels unwanted by her father, even though her mother, her other sisters, and other relatives reach out to her and welcome her. And so that is the situation that we are in. And then Sati um, essentially is now starting, over the last couple of verses, is now exhibiting her anger um, for the injustice that or the transgression that has happened here, wherein Lord Shiva has not been invited to the sacrificial offering. And as is the Vedic injunction, whenever there is a sacrifice, um, Lord Vishnu, along with his demigods, are invited to partake in the offerings of the sacrifice for the sacrifice to be successful. And here in this case, we see that Lord Shiva has been not invited very explicitly. So Srila Prabhupada is talking about, indicates, mentions in his purport that here is Prajapati Daksha, and Prajapati Daksha is, it feels like he's a Prajapati. I mean, he has this exalted position, and he has this opulence, and he has his facilities that has been that he has. And so, there's a lot of pride in the heart. And then when the heart is puffed up, then automatically the next step is you start to look down upon others. And so here he is looking down upon Shiva, Lord Shiva, and going by the externalities of Lord Shiva. And he considers that, my wonderful child, my wonderful daughter, Sati, is somehow, now stuck with, this worthless person, Lord Shiva. And so, Sati is defending a position of Lord Shiva. She is chastising, giving a piece of her mind to her father. And here in this particular verse, she is trying to communicate or trying to impress upon uh, her father, Prajapati Daksha, that Lord Shiva is not an ordinary person, and Lord Shiva is actually very opulent. And this is not the opulence of Lord Shiva is not something that worldly minded people can easily understand. So we understand, what these opulences are. When actually we discussed this at the Sunday feast just last week. The opulences of the Supreme, the Bhaga or Bhagavan. There are six kinds of opulences that we understand from both Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishnu Purana, and from the scriptures in general. There is wealth, fame, beauty, renunciation, knowledge, and strength. So these are the six opulences that the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna possesses in full. And uh, devotees who worship the Supreme Lord are also decorated with godly qualities. And so, yes, we do find that people who are devoted may be decorated by Lord Krishna with these opulences in different quantities. So, um, it's a very beautiful term here where Srila Prabhupada is, makes a statement here. Such opulences are enjoyable in renunciation and love of God, not in sense gratification. So, and then there is examples that are given. There's Kumaras, the four Kumaras. There is Narada Muni, and these are again another examples of personalities who have these opulences, which are enjoyable in renunciation and in love of the Supreme Lord or in bhakti. not in sense gratification. And so I wanted to, um, quote a few passages from other parts of Srimad Bhagavatam and other places, again, focusing on this um, concept of opulences. So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.12, 12th verse. Yasyati bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunais samasta surahe harava abba abhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorate na asati davato bahi. All the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional services and engaged in material activities has no good qualities. Even he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? And so, in the purport to this very beautiful verse, Srila Prabhupada, of course, gives example of um, um, Haridas Thakur, or Namacharya Haridas Thakur. Sorry, I just blanked out. Where again he's talking about the opulences of Haridas Thakur, who, I mean, physically and materially speaking, didn't really you can't really call Haridas Thakur as very opulent, but he was the most opulent, and we consider Haridas Thakur as Namacharya. And in that same purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who's the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in that, he quotes Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami as saying that all the good qualities become manifest in the body of a Vaishnava, and that only by the presence of these good qualities can one distinguish between who is a Vaishnava and who is not a Vaishnava. And there are 26 qualities as described. He's very kind to everyone. He does not make anyone his enemy. He is truthful. He is equal to everyone. No one can find any fault in him. He is magnanimous. He is mild. He is always clean. He is without possessions. He works for everyone's benefit. He is very peaceful. He is always surrendered to Krishna. He has no material desires. He is very meek. He is steady. He controls his senses. He does not eat more than required. He is not influenced by the Lord's illusory energy. He offers respect to everyone. He does not desire any respect for himself. He is grave. He is merciful. He is friendly. He is poetic. He is expert. He is silent. So these are the 26 qualities. I just felt like it'd be nice to read those 26 qualities. Um, and so, according to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, how do we understand that you know a devotee is opulent? Oh, what does opulence, true opulence, really mean? And here, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami talks about what distinguishes a Vaishnava from a non-Vaishnava. So again, this is a really good indicator to determine if we have arrived. We will know that we have arrived when we see these qualities that are decorated by Sri Krishna. Again, just a disclaimer: these are not qualities to measure others; these are qualities to measure oneself, um, because we have that tendency to measure. Okay, does that devotee have these 26 qualities? Okay, so maybe he's not a devotee. He's not as great a devotee as other people claim he's a devotee. So again, these are more for self introspection, not for measuring others. So that's one. This whole notion of um, opulences. And so, as one engages in devotional service, uh, and through the process of purification of the heart, Krishna decorates the devotee with these various opulences, various qualities. The second is this topic about yajna or sacrifice. Now, everybody performs sacrifice. There's you know, a person who is working to satisfy his senses, his mind, and his ego, or his expanded senses and expanded ego. They go through extreme amount of pains to satisfy, to perform sacrifices. They may work very long hours. They may even forego food. They may forego their health, and um, to satisfy their senses ultimately. And then there is also um, uh, people who are renunciate who also sacrifice the material attachments. So there are sacrifices that are performed by pretty much anybody who wants to achieve something, be it on the material side or on the spiritual side. So here Srila Prabhupada focuses on the word um, dhuma vartamabihi, those who maintain themselves on the remnants of sacrificial foodstuff. So, um, as uh, prasadarians, uh, we also subsist on foodstuff that has been offered in sacrifice. So, what is being referred to here is not a person who is offered foodstuff um, with love and devotion to Vishnu or Supreme Lord, but someone who is offering foodstuff or other items with a desire to have greater enjoyment. So, for maximizing material sense gratification, the material consciousness. So, a person who is trying to maximize the aham mameti is to maximize one's conception of oneself, material conception of oneself, and the possessions because of that conception of oneself. Whereas the devotional perspective is rishikena, rishikesha, sevanam. So, using the senses or the facilities that are provided as a consequence of exercising the senses, we engage everything in the service of Rishikesha, the Supreme Lord, favorably. And another aspect here is that sacrifice means satisfaction of Vishnu. And so, we have the famous Bhagavad Gita verse, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suradit Sarva Bhutanam Nyatma Vam Shantim Rachati. So, the um, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So, Yajna Purush, when the moment we say sacrifice and we say Yajna, the um, benefactor of that sacrifice is Vishnu. So Vishnu is referred to as Yajna Purusha. There are there is another reference in Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, where Srila Prabhupada actually quotes Sridhar Swami, where Sridhar Swami is referring to five kinds of sacrifices that a householder must perform. And the five kinds of sacrifices a householder must perform are the study of the Vedas, and then offerings to the forefathers, and then setting aside food for other living creatures before one consumes food, and then being hospital or offerings to other humans, and then finally offerings to demigod. So these are the five sacrifices that every householder must do as it is prescribed in our Vedas. And then, of course, we, if we cannot do all of the above, then we go ahead and we water the root of the tree. But these are the five kinds of sacrifices that are recommended for householders from a practical day-to-day perspective. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in this, Srila Prabhupada quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in this particular purport, uh, giving the analogy of a crow. Um, just like how a crow is eating foodstuff out of a dustbin, similarly, materialistic men uh, are compared to these crows who eat the foodstuff with a view of enjoying their senses instead of actually offering it to Lord Vishnu selflessly. Now, uh, another example that Srila Prabhupada has given is if we are in a jail and if we try to serve the jailer, it is quite likely that our situation in the jail will be a little bit more comfortable. But serving the jailer does not help us get out of the jail. And so, similarly, here, um, trying to uh, do sacrifice with a view of sense gratification. And yes, as we, um, try to appease the demigods, and demigods are easily appeased. It is quite easy in that way to enhance our material situation or our material entanglement. But for us to get out of that material entanglement is not something that is possible by the demigods. Now we can approach the demigods with a view of their support to help us in our service to Sri Krishna. That is different. That is a higher level of consciousness. But the recommendation for us by the acharyas is to simply focus on worshipping Lord Krishna. Now, there is a third point I wanted to bring about. Mother Sati is being very vocal here. It is her father. Now, the relationship between a daughter and a father is a very sweet relationship. At least I don't have a daughter, but I can, and neither was I. Neither I had a sister in my family um, to be able to empathize with that feeling. But I can, based on my experience, the relationship between the daughter and the father is a special relationship. And here we have Mother Sati, who is willing to stand up even up to her father and challenge that, and irrespective of what that material relationship is. There has been an offense that has been committed, and she is not going to remain quiet, and she is going to um, speak out here. And so one must speak up if there is gross violation, if there is something that is not legal, or if there is an abuse, um, or there is gross violation of etiquette, then one must speak up, irrespective of what their relationship might be. And communities and societies that tend to push things under the rug eventually wither away, they weaken and they disappear. um, they lose the strength. And so, again, this is another aspect of uh, uh, standing and making sure that we speak up is important. Finally, I will say that Srila Prabhupada actually spends quite some time about um, the opulences, because again, Mother Sati is trying to communicate to her father, saying that you're so distracted with your own material opulence and your own pride, that you're not able to understand how opulent Lord Shiva is. So typically, most of us, we measure opulence, or even actually within devotee circles, we measure Krishna's mercy. Oh, how merciful is Krishna to this devotee? Very opulent, nice car, nice house, nice education. Is a very nice societal title. Is a good job, successful children, beautiful spouses, all of that, all of the above. And here, Srila Prabhupada actually mentions that sometimes worshippers of Vishnu, these material opulences get taken away for some very serious devotees. But that is again to be understood that this is the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Now, recall that for a serious devotee, nothing matters except for their relationship with Krishna. And their biggest opulence is their service to Guru and Krishna. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam, Bhaktir Uchyate. So that is their true north, or that sense of true worth or value. So even if seemingly from the outside the opulences get taken away, doesn't mean that somehow they are suffering for an offense that they have committed. Mercy of Krishna can come in many ways. It can come as the Sudama pastime, where Krishna showered Sudama with opulences, or it can come as even in the case of Srila Prabhupada, for example. Um, it could come as some material challenges. Uh, and so and we have again a lot of other examples. Dhruva Maharaj is another great example, where had this mega desire of having a kingdom greater than my father's father's father. And um, when Lord Vishnu appeared in his heart, appeared in front of him, he felt like he was looking for pieces of glass instead of this wonderful jewel of the form of Lord Vishnu in front of him. So when devotees pray to Krishna in such a mood, Krishna may, uh, selectively try to exercise our renunciation muscles, and he may do it in a manner that he thinks is appropriate, and we are ready to accept that level of renunciation or detachment. So again, this is not to um, cause fear, right? And actually, there are um, these kinds of worries in people's mind, that if you worship Krishna, he takes away he takes away all of your opulences or your wealth, and you might end up becoming a beggar. That is not the case. Krishna is a is a very sweet, a kind father, who understands very clearly what our attachments are, and what will keep us going in our Krishna consciousness, in our spiritual path, and what can debilitate us on our spiritual path. And he will provide the right amount of challenges in our life, and he may even tone down some of the challenges that are consequent to our karmic balances. Or you may not have any karmic balances, yet we may come across certain incidences. Irrespective, for a devotee, Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. We continue to focus on our services. So with that, I will end and see if there are any thoughts and comments. Sorry, I had went a little bit over.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I think, yeah, the opulence, what is the true opulence, right? I think if somebody doesn't have that perception, like, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, Daksha, I mean, he was thinking that Lord Shiva is not opulent, right? I mean, it's not that he's unintelligent person, right? In the sense that we think, right? I mean, materially. I mean, of course, he's a great, I mean, he's a great personality, right? So, but still, he kind of down, grading her down, looking up, looking down, right? Lord Shiva's greatness. I mean, I don't know. That is all because of envy, of course. So, yeah, it was. I mean, the opulence that I mean, because from the today's world, I mean, what is opulence? Is of course one is materially rich, right? So that's generally. I mean, many of us think. I mean, or the society thinks that they are very opulent, but then some qualities that one cannot may not be able to see it in a person. Right? You talked about Haridas Thakur, and others. I mean, in the long run or in the eternal sense, I mean, that is the opulence, right? The other opulence will stay as long as maybe we are there in this body. That is maximum, right? It can go to any time also. So,
Yeah, that's a beautiful point, right? Our material opulences are maximum until our last breath, whereas these spiritual opulences are always there with us. So, yeah, thank you for bringing up that really nice point. And I was thinking that, um, it takes one to recognize one, right? Um, if I'm spiritually qualified, I may be able to recognize another spiritually qualified person. Otherwise, we tend to go by externalities, and happens even in devotee circles. We may regard Vaishnava who has some nice pakka, dhoti kurta, well ironed, dhoti kurta, nice chadar and a tilak and a shika. And there might be a devotee who might have a little bit of wrinkled, unkempt clothes, but uh, who knows who's a who knows who's a more advanced devotee. So yeah, yeah, I think we tend to go by the externalities quite a lot. That is a safe assumption, and that is why we also have a lot of let's say etiquettes in terms of, because you don't know who is a great devotee, and so it is always good to be on the safe side and offer respectful obeisances to everybody. And uh, yeah, I was just reminded of the fact that I mean, if I were to look at somebody like Lord Shiva, I don't know if I would actually be able to determine that this is a very exalted personality. In some way, it takes one to recognize one.
yeah,
So,
nice point, bro. That's right. Thank you.
all right. So we are at already at uh, almost 15 over. So again, thank you so much for your participation, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class and excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Vancha
Hare Krishna.
kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhavacha patitanam
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
हरे कृष्ण.